Hi, everyone. Welcome to Entrepreneurship by Design with Dr. C. I'm so glad you're here with us today because we have an incredible soul with us, Christina. Christina helps you triple your energy by healing your deep wounding that is driving you to push yourself beyond your limits. Christina created the SelfLove Academy, where her approach is known for immediate turn on of your own inner warrior. You will shift the feeling from feeling lost, unappreciated, to feeling unapologetically seen, heard, and valued. And thank you so much, Christina, for being here today. It is such a pleasure to have you. And I would love for you to just dive into your journey, how you got here today, and then we can go a little bit deeper.
Hi, Caroline. Thank you so much for having me. I am really, really thrilled for this conversation. How did I get here? I got here through a lot of, ups and downs in my entrepreneurial journey. After a career of 15 years in accounting, I decided after a retreat, actually, I went to a retreat, and on that retreat, I manifested my last day at work in my corporate job. So that was a chapter that I ended by intention, because I wanted to be me and not have to fake or take anyone's tantrums at work, as so many of you know. In a corporate environment, you don't really know what the day shows up for you. And I then, in 2015, after my last day at work, which I felt really free, I must say, I felt so much freedom, but not much, I didn't have much vision on what it will be. It was very much uncertainty in the air because I didn't plan it. I wanted it, but I didn't plan it financially. And as a mother of two young children, you can imagine that only faith, and a lot of prayer and inner work got me through then a couple of years of healing and so on. And then I decided to actually do this coaching official, because so much coaching was done even from my teenage age. To my girlfriends, I was always the one to lift them up, to have them positively talk about their bodies and look at them in a beautiful way. And so yeah, that got me here, and a lot of self-inquiry and this dream and vision to create a place for women to be able to feel seen, heard, and valued as they are, without having to fake it, without having to pretend, and without having to, be positive all of the time, or need to be positive all of the time. This happiness is beautiful if it's original, if it's authentic, but if not, it's okay to feel all the emotions. So that's the dream I had, to create this space for women to feel safe.
I love it. And I love that dream because I do think there's so much to it where a lot of times people feel like they have to be positive all the time and happy and show this persona when inside they're crumbling, and it's okay to show that emotion. It's okay to experience that and not get stuck there, of course. But I think part of it is just feeling seen and heard. I was just having a conversation the other day about this, of just creating those spaces of having that where you feel understood, you feel like you have a place there and you're not alone. Because a lot of times people might see people on social media, for instance, and think, oh, well, they have their life together and everything's great, when internally they don't. And I don't think anybody has it all together, like maybe moments and pockets of those times, but I feel like it does evolve over time.
Absolutely.
And I'm so curious too, because I know a huge part of your work is really about deep wounds, and that when we are going through that, can you explain how healing deep wounds can directly impact and triple an individual's energy, and what that connection between personal healing and increased vitality is?
Absolutely. So healing can be done in so many modalities, and I have been through so many modalities myself. And as someone who absolutely loves to have fun and not get serious, even when it's about healing, I have got to train myself to train and get to be licensed as a chakra dance facilitator. And I mention this because chakra dance is a movement therapy, and it is a healing modality that you can avail of, you can practice. And it is so deep because, you know, as much work as you do mentally and analytically and logically, I feel like it's not going to get you to the healing of the deep wounds. And why am I saying that? Because the wounds are stored in our bodies.
Right.
The traumas, the wounds are like in the cellular bodies, and that's since the day that we were born. And so you can imagine that, I don't know about you, but I don't remember much under like 5 years old, yet I have had for sure so many traumas, so many upsets, so many disappointments and hurts. For sure I did. And I don't have to know them or remember them in order to be released. So with this movement therapy, you actually practice it and you feel relieved and you feel released after you practice it, without knowing, you know, or pinpointing or talking about it or remembering it and, you know, crying a little bit more. No, your body does its job. So I absolutely love this, and this ability in our bodies to actually heal itself without, you know, us having to having to understand it or make peace with it or whatever, forgive it, you know. We do that. Yeah, it's fine. It's perfect. We do that through journaling. We do that through communication, conversations, intention, prayer. But it doesn't take us as deep as in our bodies. So that's why I do believe that when you heal through this movement therapy, you then get to energize, because what wounds and traumas are is energy that is stale, stuck energy, right? And once that stuck energy gets free and gets healed, your body is able to be more flexible, is less painful, is you know, healthier, and it's flowy, right? It flows, energy flows.
I love that. And I never thought of it in that way, because I do think movement is so important as well, but it's that energy piece. And I'm so curious, because I kind of want to go back for a second. When you started doing your own work and really healing internally, what was the drive to even start your business?
Well, for my business, it started to give me more clarity. In my business, I'm such a bundle of joy. I for a long time suffered of the shiny object syndrome. And as an ambitious soul, I just wanted to do everything. So if I see you doing, you know, beautiful on YouTube, I'd be like, yes, I can do that too. If I hear someone on podcast, I'm like, of course I can do that too. And I would be able, in all of my crazy, you know, ambitions and motivation, to be able to do everything without actually thinking that, hey, you have that much time and that much energy in your life, so how can you do everything? And plus that much focus, right? Oh my God. So now with this modality, you know, I get to be more focused, and it's like a wake-up call. It's like a natural release of what's not important for me, without having the fear of missing out, because that was another part of it, right? So if I had a project and I wanted to do it so much, but I couldn't, because I had another priority, right? I would have had fear of missing out, like, and I would feel guilty and, you know, beat myself up. Now everything comes to place. I feel the pleasure in what needs to be done by me and where my focus needs to be, and everything else just becomes naturally out of my attention, out of my focus. It's like, you don't have to do everything. It's okay, because you want to go play with your teenagers, or you want to, have free time. Well, before, I thought I was superwoman. I could do everything, So that's how it helps me in my business: focus and have joy and a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I love that too, because the drive, it sounds like it was just really from your own healing and your own development, but creating something that made sense for you. And I think a lot of times we do get the shiny objects. They're like, oh, I want to try this, I want to try that. And like, I've been there, I totally have been there. But I think it's so beautiful to really hone in on where your specialty is and where you shine, and still have the time for the other aspects in your life that were really important, like your children as well, being teenagers. But what was that like starting your business, but also with 2 children as well? Like, how do you integrate motherhood and entrepreneurship?
Well, I do it, and it's not perfect. It's, again, focus is what I have to work with myself to keep on task and progressing, because I also work from home. So, and they are home most of the time themselves. And so they have priority, I must say. They always come first. If they need me, they know they know where to get me, where to find me, and I'm gonna, stop what I'm doing and just focus on them, because they are my first priority. But also they know, like, for example, right now, they know that I have, an interview and that they cannot come here. And they know that I work for my dreams, which is very, very important for me. This is part of self-love, to be able to communicate clearly, and to have it said that, me as a mother, I'm also a dream achiever. I'm also a visionary, and I'm going to go after what I want to achieve. So they appreciate that, and they see me, and they take me as an example, even if sometimes it's quiet.
And I appreciate you sharing that too. It's just that your children are your priority, and making sure that you're there for them and present. And I think that's a beautiful thing of entrepreneurship. We get to create our own spaces and what works for us, and also work for the people that we love and care about too, knowing that we're still there and we just have more time on our hands in that regard. And I'm so curious too, how do you help individuals tap into their inner warrior and unleash to their full potential? What are some of the key steps or techniques that you use to facilitate the transformation with them?
First of all, we get into being, authentically open, and in order to tap to the inner warrior is really a practice that I teach them to activate their power chakra. So the inner warrior, the masculine energy, that fire within your body, is located in the power chakra. And by dancing your chakra, or by there's different ways to activate your chakras, but to focus on this particular power chakra, I do see the best results through EFT and dancing the chakra. That's because so many women are disconnected from their bodies, let alone connected to their power. So many times we in our daily lives stay in our heads, and we function from there, right? And we look for the solutions in our heads. Most of the time we look for solutions, for possibilities, for answers into this space, which is very limited, because it's just based on your past. whatever you did on your past experience, you know that that's possible, but you don't know there's an infinite possibility, opportunity that you can tune into. So that's where your body comes in. And this is why I'm so passionate about being connected to our bodies, and teaching that to the members of my community, because once they become present and they actually ground in their bodies, that inner warrior is like awakening, right? Because it's there, it's always been there.
Right.
And it's so beautiful to see their faces and their shift in their energy, how they become more confident, they become more fired up and more powerful. They actually get their power back. So many times we gave our power away to our job, to our business, to our partner, to our kids, right? And without knowing, without even realizing that. And so when they get to connect with their bodies and they get to activate that power chakra, they're like, oh my God, power has always been here and it is here. So I don't have to go and look around for other people's approval, or to go people pleasing, or, you know, to be fake and pretend that I agree with someone just because I want their attention and I want them to think that I am powerful, right? So it's all about connecting with the body, and that's what the main work is, really.
Yeah, I believe it, because I do think our bodies tell us first before we even like maybe can speak it out loud, because I feel like the mind and body are so connected. And a lot of times if we're not saying what we need or putting it out there, it can really be damaging to our body. And that's why I love the work that you're doing and really helping that power come out for individuals, and especially women in particular. And, you know, before we were chatting, I was looking through your website and everything, and there's a term that just really stood out to me: Soulgasm. What is Soulgasm? How does it benefit women's daily lives?
So the Soulgasm term came from an experience that I had on the solarium of a villa. I was living in Spain just before COVID. We moved from Ireland to Spain in Alicante. And this beautiful villa it's called solarium. It's the whole house space. It's open. And that was my space for my practice in the morning, my self-love, my meditation, right?
Yeah.
And I had a view to the ocean, and then I was surrounded by palm trees, and it was always a beautiful sun shining on me. I loved that space. And I had the intention to connect with my soul. So I said, okay, this is my intention, and I'm gonna, you know, work on it, the inner work that we do, to actually connect with my soul. And I didn't have to work long, surprisingly. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, okay, I don't want to put an outcome. I don't want to put a due date. I will be there and want to connect to my soul. So in terms of a few days, while I was in a meditation, I felt the energy of my soul, and somehow I merged with that energy. And I know for some people who have never experienced this, it sounds weird. It would sound for me too, probably, but it was such a beautiful, enlightening, and also peace-giving experience, because up until then, as a mother of 2 boys, now teenagers, so that was about 3 years ago, right? So they were just going into teenagehood. I was worried, not all of the time, but I was having my own fears about how these children are going to become as, you know, adults. What are they going to do? You know, how can I be the best parent to guide them? So I had a lot of anxiety and questions about it in the back of my mind. And I didn't even realize it. And then that vision that I had was the vision of them, and the energy. It was absolutely peace-giving and so reassuring and divine, really, that I called it a Soulgasm. So I was like, oh my God, I had such a beautiful, it was a bliss of an experience, of a connection with my soul. So I was like, wow, I just had a Soulgasm. And then I said to myself, I would love every woman to have a Soulgasm. And of course, I titled myself Soulgasm Activator. And of course, in marketing, you have to be so clear in what you do and what the title is, and look at me. But thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain where Soulgasm come from. And then really I wanted women to have soulgasmic experiences in their own schedule, in their own business schedule, because business makes you so serious sometimes that I wanted them to know that, connecting to their soul gives them that peace that gave me about motherhood, right? Because that's what I needed then. So I don't worry about my kids anymore. Since that moment, I trust. It's so great, so beautiful to have that inner peace that is gonna be okay.
No, I believe it. I'm not a parent yet myself, but I can just, from all the parents I do know and friends that are parents, and the anxiety or fears that come into play, but there's something so beautiful of letting that go, no matter what it is, not even just being a parent, but in business, in life, in anything that we come across that might be an obstacle that we have to face. And I love that you created something that was so beautiful, and in that moment to really define it in that experience, and helping other women have that in more of their daily lives versus just one-off times, but being able to really focus in on that. And I'm so curious, what are some of the obstacles you have faced in building your business through the years?
Obstacles, really, being on social media and seeing other people, having those amazing successes. I can say that one obstacle was like looking at others and imagining that it's easy, right? Imagining that it's so easy, of course I can do this. And not being able to appreciate every step of the way that I had to go on my own journey. So kind of caught my attention, and sometimes kind of stole my ability to have gratitude of where I am and being present. Obstacles, I truly, it's the most of the time it was the shiny object. There's so many ways that you can make the money that got me lost. And that's it. Yeah.
And I think that there's so much truth to that too, of just understanding not everything's going to work for everybody, and knowing where your wheelhouse is, what makes sense for you, and having the experiences you have led you to here today, of being able to trust your intuition and trust this is the best way for you to help people, especially when it comes to deep wounds, and really using and utilizing different modalities that really help from the inside out, and really using the body, because I think that is a big focal point of just being able to help people in regards to just anything that they're going through or having to push through. And I'm really curious, because I know you've had a lot of success with a lot of different clients. Could you share a success story of where your approach resulted in someone shifting that feeling of being lost or unappreciated to feeling seen, heard, and valued? What were some of the key elements that helped in that transformation?
Yeah. So Lisa, a student who came without, the courage to even speak or express her feelings. She came in feeling anxious, depressed, isolated. She was not able to, she had like social anxiety. She was afraid to go out. And the first video she made, that is like last year. We've been working a year since then, but the first video that she made, she was so sweet. She was like, I don't even know what I'm doing, Christina, but you're asking me this question. I don't even know the answer, but this is what I feel. And she kept saying, this is so hard for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then to see her a year later, of course she had successes on the way, but like a year later, she came going consistently outside camping on her own, standing up for herself, starting to create different creative projects in her house and decorate the house with those beautiful pieces she was creating, speaking her truth and being herself in her own power, taking her power back, just like I said earlier, and standing up for herself, in the relationships that she has with her family, with her close partner, refreshing her friendships and going out to concerts and having fun. And the last piece would be that she's going through, like, she's filming her self-love challenge, right? And she comes on camera and she actually she's on Instagram, she actually encourages other women to love themselves. I was like, jaw dropping.
I love it. And it's testament to the work that you're doing. Of course, she's putting in that work and doing it, but you're guiding her. And I think that's a huge part of what I love about the work you're doing is around self-love too. It's not just the body and movement, but it's really having this deep appreciation for ourselves. And I think it's so important, the work of just the clients that you're working with. And I'm curious, what role does self-love play in the healing process? Because I know you help individuals cultivate that sense of self-love and acceptance as part of their journey to greater energy and fulfillment. But what has that experience been like for you?
Yeah, well, self-love is the foundation for everything. And I will go back, if you allow me, to the question before this one, asking me the challenges or the obstacles in business. So for so long, I couldn't express one transformation that I give to my clients through self-love, right? Like one transformation, Christina. I was like, but there's so many transformations. How can I give one? So I think the fact that I couldn't make that clear delayed my ability to monetize it and to monetize it at the level that I want to, and to expand and scale my coaching services. But yeah, self-love is the foundation. It's just that I was beautifully speaking about self-love. I was really passionate about self-love, and that is because, and I still am, but women listen to me, they're like, but I don't know what self-love is. And yes, even if that gets explained, it's still a very vague and untangible transformation for them. They're like, but I'll go and do I'll go to have a haircut, or I'll do my manicure. But that's self-care, if you ask me. That's self-care. It's not self-love. So yes, self-love is the foundation. And now, because of this obstacle that I had in business, I kind of came to the conclusion that I want to put self-love. It's still the foundation, but it's in terms of resolving your most difficult relationships, right? So we all have relationships, and we all have some very difficult relationships in our life, even if that is with our body, right? It doesn't have to be with people necessarily. It can be with your body, with your money, with your mind, soul, whatever that is. So now I communicate, and I invite women to look at their relationship and imagine that, not imagine, but when you and I get into a relationship, let's say we become friends, I bring my relationship with my body in the forefront, right? I bring
Yeah.
my relationship with my soul, and I bring my relationship with my mind. So if these relationships for me are broken, right? Or they're broken. I don't want to call people broken because they're perfect just the way they are. But broken, I mean, they have some, stuck energy, as I said at the beginning.
Yeah.
They have some missing pieces that that are created by fears, by worries, just like I had with motherhood, and I lived that soulgasmic moment, right? So all of those missing pieces, when I come into relationship with you, you bring yours, and so we reflect to each other. And of course, sometimes some of the relationships are very difficult because of what we carry with us. So now the best way to show someone how much they love themselves and how much work they've done through self-love is to, look at their relationship that before it was extremely difficult, it was very hard to be in, or maybe non-existent, to now be able to have a nurturing relationship. Long answer.
No, I appreciate it. And, I think it's a really important aspect because I struggled with self-love a lot before I even really was in therapy and coaching, doing both professionally and personally. But I think it's really hard to quantify the aspect of self-love, what it looks like. But you answered it so beautifully of just understanding too. It's really how we're viewing ourselves, how we're coming into a relationship, whether it's romantic, platonic, friendship, whatever it may be. But really that energy that's exchanged can be so powerful in a positive way, or it can be very detrimental and draining in another way. But it's based off of how we're bringing in that energy and how it impacts us. And I think there's so much power in that and understanding how we can make those relationships better. It's like setting boundaries, but also like that's part of self-love, at least in my definition. I don't know if you agree or not, but being able to understand it. And I know you understand that very well, and also helping your clients too. But I love that you really got very clear and focused on what you were helping people with, the end result, because all the things that happen in between that, there's so much that happens, so many beautiful things and success, just even like what you were sharing with your client, the success that she had. It was moments over the year, but at the end result, like you saw that difference in her of showing up so powerfully and within her power and sharing that with the world. And I think that's a huge part of self-love, because self-love is thrown around the word very much so, but what it truly means and how we can embody that sometimes is really difficult. And it's those difficult conversations we have to have with ourselves, and having amazing coaches that really help us in that regard of understanding what needs to happen next to get to that next step. And it really does stem from relationships, and it's the relationship with ourselves first and foremost, and then all the other relationships too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because otherwise, if you come into a relationship and you see all of these things reflected back at you, you may go into, blaming the other person because it's the easiest, right? It's the shortcut, or just say that they don't get you, and all of these things. But in fact, is you and your inner work that will make that relationship better.
Absolutely.
It's so beautiful. I love it. I love it when people tell you, what do you do? Like, what did you just do? Like with Lisa, they were like, oh my God, like, what did you do with your hair? What did you do with you? What are you doing? And she's like, I'm loving myself. And they're like, what?
You're like, yes, try it. It's good for you. It'll only make you better. Exactly. And it really goes back to being just unapologetically ourselves too, right? Just like what you're saying with how she was changing her hair and showing up differently because she was really loving herself. And I think that's the significance of being unapologetically seen, heard, and valued in that process of personal transformation. How does this shift the perception that contributes to individuals' overall energy and their well-being?
How does it translate? Well, the most the most stories and the most thing that I get with women coming in feeling seen and appreciated and valued is that this community gets me. This community, you know, like they become besties, really. They're like, oh my God, I found my besties in here. I would never thought that I could be so open. So this space where they get to be seen and valued and heard is giving them confidence, is giving them power, right? Is giving them the power to discover their own power, if that makes sense. Is giving them the hope and the trust, because when someone comes into a sacred and safe space, you know, with the intention for them to feel heard and valued and not judged, not compared, they just open up, and their heart is like, you know, all of the walls that they were having around their hearts, they just drop down, and they become vulnerable. They become in love with themselves. And why? Because they, even if they're not yet ready to love themselves, they get to become in love with themselves because of the others looking at them with love, right? The other women look at them with love and acceptance, and they're like, oh, really? But this is me? I mean, you know, they get to remember that the essence of who they are is love and joy and human beings that are here with a mission, a purpose, with a meaning, right? It's absolutely beautiful when someone who cannot be feeling safe outside, you know, outside in a space, in the family, community, school, whatever that is, work environment, they come into a community like this, and they finally get to speak their truth. They get to cry and not being apologetic about it or feel guilty or ashamed. They get to share their fears, their worries, but also their joys and victories. It's absolutely, it's so precious to have such space. So this is why I wanted so much to create this space, and I got to call it the SelfLove Academy Playground.
I love the name.
because I really wanted it to be a playground, to play together, again, not becoming serious. I do not enjoy being serious at all, and I avoid it with all of the with everything I have, to become serious, in order to be professional, or in order to be considered qualified. I don't enjoy that at all. And so because I don't find it, I find it very hard, you know, to be serious, and so I can only imagine that there are women that they're serious enough in other areas of their life because they were taught to, because they have to, you know, but then when they come there, they can just play in the playground, you know, while they heal. It's just it's inherent. It's everything together. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's that inner child, right? I think a lot of times our inner child is silenced as we get older because we have to go to school, we have to get the job, we have to do all these things. And there's a seriousness to that. But I think there's so much room for play and love and just really being our true, authentic selves. And our paths might be very different in life, but recognizing that we do need to take care of that inner child always, because it wants to come out. And sometimes it's like, no, you can't, but it's being able to allow that space for growth. And I do truly love the name. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, wow, that like makes so much sense, because it's creating a space where we can all come and play and just be ourselves, but also work through the really hard things too. It doesn't have to be hard in every aspect. We can make it a little bit lighter in the sense of going through it, Of course, it's going to be really hard, but it doesn't have to be so hard from every single angle.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just agreeing here because you're so on point.
Well, I feel like I totally understand it. And because just being a former therapist, like seeing a lot of like hard emotions, but really being able to work through that. And I feel like there needs to be that sense of like compassion and grace and love and real kindness versus like all the really hard feelings. We can't not acknowledge those, but having that intertwined. And I think it's really a harmony between the two. And that's what I feel like when you're saying it, what I've seen, it really does merge it together. So it can be a little bit more easy to go through versus having to be so difficult.
Absolutely. Life is, it has its hard parts already. And we, as children, we had to, do everything correctly. We had so many expectations from others. I mean, they had expectations from us. We were expected to be perfect. And I think it's enough. So now I'm so happy that you mentioned the inner child. The inner child is crying for attention. So absolutely, yes.
Yes, it definitely is. And that's why I'm glad you're doing the work you're doing. And I'm so curious because I know you've had experiences with just building your business, but what have been maybe your top 2 tips of going through the entrepreneurial journey that you can give other entrepreneurs on this journey that have been helpful for you?
2 tips that are very important for each entrepreneur on their daily journey, daily, work schedule, is to insert some self-love snacks. I call them snacks because I know that so many don't have, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or an hour, but you can have a snack. So maybe that is a very short EFT session, if you're familiar to emotional freedom tapping technique. Just like one round of tapping to release if you feel angry, if you feel tired, if you have some kind of limiting belief and it keeps you stuck from moving forward into your project. That can be one. Or, go to the mirror and connect with that inner child through your eyes, and remember that that inner child believes in you and in your potential, in your success, in your dreams. That would be so amazing to connect through the eyes. And of course, breathing. You can just take 3 breaths. I do have a video. I could have as a resource is a 1-minute video demonstrating the oxytocin breathing, which means producing happiness. So it's a very beautiful technique that it takes 1 minute. And in terms of these are 3 tips. And the 4th, it depends on you, what you like, right? But another one would be movement. So remember that emotion is energy in motion. So when you experience an emotion, you just have to move your body and with the intention to release, and then come back refreshed. So if that is go for a walk, or push it, simply just do some hip circles, whatever movement is for you, stretch. I do chakra dance. I do have a 15-minute ritual. So yes, absolutely move. And your day would be absolutely different. Everything will be different, as I said, because everything is energy. So you will get to transmit that to your team, to your clients, to your subscribers.
I love it. Those were amazing tips, and just giving what really works for us. There's no right or wrong way. And that's what we were talking about too. There's so many different modalities that you can pull from. And I love how that you framed it snack. Like it's just like a little bite size of it. And I think it just goes so well with just everything that you bring to the table of what you're doing to help individuals really live their full potential. And that starts from the inside out. And I truly believe that, because when we're taking care of ourselves, we have so much more to give to others and our relationships. But I mean, self-love is one of those things that we need it. We need it. We need more of it. We need to understand it. It's not a trend. It's really of just working on ourselves and constantly evolving. But
absolutely, when you don't you know, when you know that you need self-love, when
Mhm.
you're exhausted, burnt out, and you're like, why didn't I just take 1 minute to take 3 breaths, to just breathe deeper? Why didn't I take 1 minute to get out of that anger? Because otherwise they don't go anywhere. Release is very important. They just, pile up, and you are going to become, filled body, mind, and soul with like baggage, so you can imagine after 1 week of work, stress, obstacles, whatever you have, you just you're tired. And how do you release? If you don't intentionally release, then there's other ways of like comfort eating, or I'm gonna give some tough love now. Comfort eating or comfort sex, or what else is there? Comfort TV,
Yeah.
but that is not, even if you do that for the whole weekend, another week is coming and you're going to have that baggage a little bit like loose now. I mean, it's not that heavy because 2 days you were like comforting yourself,
Right.
but not for real. You didn't release. So you can imagine if you keep going, then you'll be like, oh my God, what's missing? Well, self-love is missing. Yes. Self-love is foundational, really. But it's not that urgent. It's not like I'm dying after self-love.
Right.
Nobody says that, because it's like we said, it's
Right.
not measurable, it's not tangible.
Right.
But when you don't do it to yourself, you'll remember the importance of it. You'll be like, oh my God, but everybody talks about self-love. Yeah, it's time to listen.
Exactly. And I think it's just really listening to ourselves, but also listening to what the body needs, the mind needs, and giving ourselves a little bit more compassion in that process. But Christina, I've been so enjoying this conversation. Where can people find you, find your services? We're going to link everything below, but if you could let us know too.
Absolutely. So my website is www.selfloveeducation.com. And absolutely, I will give you my my portfolio of gifts, so you can pick whatever suits your soul and your body. And thank you for having me. It was such a bliss.
Yes, absolutely. I so enjoyed the conversation and just your beautiful energy and light and what you're doing in this world to help people have a little bit more fulfillment internally to move that externally as well. But thank you again for coming on. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. What was the biggest takeaway from Christina today? I'm sure she would love to see that comment, and we'll see you on the next episode.